So the thing that I can get behind with the NFL draft is the prop bets. How many hugs you're going to see, how many dabs you're going to see, how many snafus you're going to see, which is one of my favorite acronyms because it is definitely not safe. But also, you can bet on where a guy is going to get drafted, right? Which means that you're really going to pay attention to these mock drafts with something else entirely in your mind. And one of the interesting bets that I saw coming out of Caesars is an over of 3.5 for Tua Tagovailoa, right? Meaning that's where he's projected, right? Do you think he's going to get drafted with the third pick, or do you think he's going to get drafted after the third pick? So the first two picks we know about, right? Joe Burrow at 1 and then Chase Young at number 2. But there seems to be a little bit of juice toward someone trading up to go get Tua in that third spot because the Detroit Lions have put themselves on record as saying, we are not going to draft Tua Tagovailoa. Whether or not they would use that pick on a Jeff Okudah because they need the cornerback health or just try to trade down and get more picks, that's what we're all interested in. Also, let you know what they're probably going to end up doing in as far as their defensive line and their defensive backfield. But I find this interesting because the Los Angeles Chargers, have been in the market for a quarterback, right? And maybe they would want to trade up to go get a Tua Tagovailoa. Or perhaps they just want to sit pretty and wait on Jordan Love to be there if Tua's not there. Or they might just be able to stand pat and wait on Tua to fall. Because this gets interesting when you look at the quarterbacks that teams have traded up to go get in the first round, right? I mean, you take a look at Kyler, you take a look at Sam Darnold, take a look at Lamar Jackson, take a look at Mitch Trubisky, take a look at Patrick Mahomes. Some of these guys work out for you, but are they worth trading up for? Well, in the case of Patrick Mahomes, yeah, absolutely. But, man, is Chicago never going to live down taking Mitch Trubisky at number 2? Absolutely, positively. I don't see how you could ever let that slide. Even if you're not really that big of a Bears fan, even if you kind of hated Jay Cutler and you knew that you needed to do something else, seeing Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes in this draft and what they've been to Houston and what they've been to Kansas City can't be overlooked. Even with Deshaun Watson blowing out his ACL and having to sit out that year because, that's what happens, he still ends up being a really great quarterback for them. So if you know that Matt Stafford's back is not going to be okay, maybe you feel like you get another year out of him, and then you can go use that draft pick on somebody else in the next class. But I think it's interesting. I think maybe you trade up with somebody who not necessarily needs a quarterback, but just wants that spot because Isaiah Simmons could still be there, right? Or maybe they would use that pick on Isaiah Simmons, though it doesn't seem like that's the noise that's coming out of there. So just to lay this out, I don't think anybody's going to trade up for Tua. I wouldn't trade up for Tua. I wouldn't trade up for any of these quarterbacks, let alone Joe Burrow. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want to give away my future around the rest of this team so that I could secure him. I don't think that any of these quarterbacks are that good, especially Tua Tagovailoa because of his injury situation. You have surgery on both of your ankles and your hip, and I'm supposed to use my third pick on you, or I'm supposed to give up draft picks to get you, knowing you could be hurt. Now, what do you risk, right? You risk losing out on a Deshaun Watson. You risk losing out on a Patrick Mahomes because we don't know what his career is going to be. We can only project it. And that's one of the reasons why the draft is both cool and stupid, because you don't know. You're giving your best guess for the needs that you have today. And I think you need to draft for the needs that you have today, especially in the first round. That guy needs to be able to play tomorrow. And that guy needs to be an everyday starter for you. And hopefully you can do that thing called talent evaluation and get guys that can help you at other positions in the later rounds. But I think that Tua Tagovailoa is going to get drafted after the third.